The massive space station floated in the darkness between stars. Its metal walls stretched for miles in every direction. Inside, thousands of alien beings gathered in the Great Council chamber. Their voices mixed together in a symphony of clicks, growls, and strange musical sounds. Today was different. News had arrived from the outer edge of the galaxy. A new species had been found on a small blue planet. The planet was called Earth, and the creatures living there called themselves humans. Ambassador Kethar stood slowly from his seat. He was old, even by the standards of his long-lived species. His reptilian skin was covered in scars from battles fought centuries ago. The Vorak Empire he represented had once controlled vast regions of space. Now they stayed on their home worlds, rarely venturing out. The chamber grew quiet as Kethar raised his clawed hand. His yellow eyes swept across the assembled delegates. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched him with curiosity. Fellow council members, Kethar began, his voice carrying the weight of years. I have studied the reports about these humans. I have seen their history, their wars, their nature. I must warn you all about something very important. A few delegates laughed. The Zephyrian representative, Admiral Zios, spoke up from his floating platform. What could possibly worry the great Vorthak Empire? These humans barely have space travel. They fight with simple weapons on their single world. Kethar's eyes narrowed. That is exactly why you should fear them. They are not like us. We calculate risks before we fight. We consider the costs of war. We seek peace when the odds are against us. Humans do not think this way. The chamber filled with murmurs. Some delegates seemed interested, but many appeared amused. The crystalline collective speaker chimed like breaking glass. You speak as if you have fought them before, but first contact was only made last month. I have not fought them directly, Kethar admitted, but I have studied them for longer than you might think. My people have been watching Earth for many years. We learned something that you all need to understand. When you threaten a human, they do not simply defend themselves. They remember, they adapt, they hunt. Admiral Zios floated closer to the center of the chamber. His blue skin seemed to glow with amusement. Hunt, one primitive species against the might of the galactic community. We represent thousands of civilized worlds. Our fleets number in the millions. What could they possibly do to us? The old Vorak ambassador looked directly at Zios. They will find a way. Humans do not surrender when faced with impossible odds. They become more dangerous. They learn from every attack. They never forget who hurt them. And most importantly, they never stopped coming. The chamber erupted in laughter. Delegates from dozens of species chittered and roared their amusement. The insectoid hive queen clicked her mandibles dismissively. You speak of them as if they are some unstoppable force. They have not even developed proper energy weapons yet. Kethar remained standing as the laughter continued around him. He had expected this reaction. His own people had laughed once too long ago before they learned better. Listen to me carefully, he said, waiting for the noise to die down. I am not speaking from fear. I am speaking from wisdom. My empire once spanned a quarter of this galaxy. We had fleets that could destroy star systems. We thought ourselves invincible. The chamber grew quieter. Many knew the Vorthak history, but few knew why such a powerful empire had retreated to just a handful of worlds. We encountered a species much like humans once. They were primitive by our standards. We decided to teach them their place in the galaxy. We attacked their world. We killed millions of them in a single day. Kethar's voice grew heavy with memory. We thought it was over. We were wrong. Admiral Zios leaned forward. What happened? They followed us home. Not immediately. It took them years to develop the technology, but they never forgot. They studied our tactics. They learned our weaknesses. They adapted our own weapons against us. One by one, our colonies fell. Not to superior numbers, but to creatures who had learned to think like us while remaining true to their own nature. The Gaza's consortium's representative spoke in a voice like wind through caves. Surely your mighty empire could handle one primitive species. That is what we thought. But humans are different. When most species face destruction, they negotiate. They adapt by changing their behavior. Humans adapt by changing everything else around them. They turn their enemy's strengths into weaknesses. They find allies in impossible places. They make weapons from anything they can find. Cather moved toward the center of the chamber, his old legs carrying him slowly but steadily. But the most dangerous thing about humans is their memory. We destroyed one of their cities. In response, they destroyed our entire civilization. Not through conquest, through patience. They hunted down every ship that participated in their attack. They tracked every commander across the galaxy. They never stopped coming. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the ambient sounds of the station seemed muted. You think I am exaggerating? Keith continued. You think one species cannot threaten thousands. But I have seen what happens when humans decide someone needs to pay for their crimes. They do not simply fight. They wage total war against the very idea of you. Admiral Xylo spoke more quietly now. What are you suggesting we do? Leave them alone. Do not threaten them. Do not attack them. Do not try to conquer them. Approach them with respect. Trade with them if they are willing. Learn from them if they let you. But never ever give them a reason to hunt you. The Hive Queen's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. And if they threaten us, if they prove dangerous to galactic peace, Kaithvar turned to look at her directly. Then pray to whatever gods you believe in. Because once humans decide you are their enemy, the only way the hunt ends is when one of you is completely destroyed. And humans are very, very hard to destroy completely. The chamber remained quiet for a long moment. Then Admiral Exio spoke again, his voice carrying authority. The Council appreciates your warning. Ambassador Keith. However, we cannot allow a single primitive species to dictate terms to the entire galaxy. If these humans prove troublesome, we will deal with them appropriately. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Delegates nodded their various heads, clicked their approval, or hummed their support. Keithar looked around the chamber one last time. He had done what he could. He had given them the warning his people had learned too late. Now it was up to them to decide whether wisdom would guide their actions. Then I will say this one final time, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the massive chamber. Do not attack the humans. They will hunt you forever. The galaxy is vast, but it is not vast enough to hide from them once they decide you must pay. With those words, the old ambassador turned and walked slowly back to his seat. Around him, the council continued to debate and plan. They spoke of demonstration fleets and shows of strength. They discussed how to bring these new humans into line with galactic law and order. Cather listened to it all with growing sadness. History was about to repeat itself. The galaxy was about to learn the same hard lesson his people had learned centuries ago. He only hoped some would survive the education that was coming. As the council voted to authorize military action against Earth, Cather closed his eyes and remembered the last transmission his people had received from their greatest enemy all those years ago, for simple words that had ended an empire. We remember everything always. Soon the galaxy would understand what those words really meant. The strike fleet appeared in Earth's solar system like a steel storm. 100 warships dropped out of faster than light travel in perfect formation. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons could turn mountains into glass. Admiral Exio stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue planet through the viewscreen. It looked so peaceful from space. White clouds swirled over green and brown continents. City lights sparkled on the night side of the world. Such a small thing to cause so much concern, he said to his second in command. The old reptile actually thought this world could threaten the galaxy. The tactical officer, a crystalline being whose body chimed softly as he moved, spoke up. Admiral, we are receiving multiple communication attempts from the planet. They appear to be surrender offers. Zio's laughter sounded like flowing water. Already. We have not even begun the demonstration. Open a channel. The view screen flickered and showed a human face. The creature had pale skin and dark hair. It wore what appeared to be a military uniform covered in colorful ribbons. When it spoke, the translation system converted its words into galactic standard. This is General Harrison representing the United Earth Defense Force. We know you have superior technology and numbers. We do not wish to fight. Please tell us what you want. Admiral Exio smiled, showing rows of sharp blue teeth. What we want is simple human. Your species will submit to Galactic Council authority. You will accept our guidance in all matters. You will provide resources and workers as requested. In return, we will allow you to continue existing. The humans' face hardened. And if we refuse, then your species dies today. We will sterilize this world and be gone before your sun sets. Choose quickly. General Harrison was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again. We need time to discuss this with our governments. 24 hours. You have 1 hour, Sios replied and cut the transmission. Exactly 1 hour later, the human appeared on screen again. This time, several other humans stood behind him. They all had the same grim expression. Admiral, we have discussed your terms. Our answer is no. We will not become slaves. If you want to destroy us, then do it, but we will not surrender our freedom. Admiral Exio stared at the screen in disbelief. You understand what you are choosing? Death for your entire species. We understand perfectly. We also understand something you apparently do not. Some things are worth dying for. The transmission ended. Admiral Zios turned to his tactical officer. Begin the bombardment. Target major population centers first. Military installation second. I want this over quickly. The fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced down from orbit, turning cities into craters. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. One by one, humanity's greatest cities became radioactive glass. Millions died in the first hour. Tens of millions in the second, but humans did not break as expected. Instead of panicking, they organized. Military leaders who had been enemies the day before shared intelligence and resources. Scientists worked together to analyze the alien technology. Citizens became soldiers overnight. The bombardment continued for 3 days. When it ended, human civilization lay in ruins. Nearly half the population was dead. The survivors lived in underground bunkers or scattered settlements far from the destroyed cities. Admiral Zios opened communications again. The same human general appeared, but now he sat in what looked like a concrete bunker. His uniform was dirty and torn. Blood stained the side of his head. Are you ready to surrender now? Zios asked. General Harrison looked directly into the camera. Admir, let me explain something to you. You think you have won because you killed millions of us. But you have made a terrible mistake. You have shown us exactly what kind of creatures you are. You have proven that coexistence is impossible. You have taught us that the only way to be safe is if you no longer exist. Silos laughed again. Brave words from a broken species hiding in holes. Not broken, Harrison said quietly. Learning. We have been studying your ships. We have been analyzing your weapons. We have been preparing. Preparing for what? You have no fleet. Your military is scattered. Your industry is destroyed. The human smiled, and something about that smile made Admiral Zios uncomfortable. Preparing to show you what happens when you hurt humans. You wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Consider the lesson received. Now, we are going to teach you something in return. What could you possibly teach us? That humans remember everything and we pay all debts in full. 2 hours later, proximity alarm screamed throughout the alien fleet. A single human ship approached from the direction of Earth. It was crude, obviously built from salvaged materials and stolen alien technology. It should have been no threat to the mighty warships. The ship transmitted a message on all frequencies. A young human woman appeared on screen. She wore a simple flight suit and had tears in her eyes. My name is Sarah Chen. I was born in Beijing. Your bombs killed my family, my friends, everyone I ever loved. I want you to know their names. She began reading a list. Hundreds of names. Thousands. These people died because you decided humans needed to learn their place. Now you are going to learn ours. The ship accelerated toward the alien flagship. Zios ordered his weapons to destroy it. But the small craft was fast and maneuvering wildly. Some shots missed, others hit but did not stop it. What is it doing? The tactical officer asked. Zios realized the truth just before impact. It is filled with explosives. All power to shields. The human ship struck the flagship shield generators at full speed. The explosion was enormous. The shields collapsed and secondary. Explosions ripped through the massive alien vessel. Admiral Zaios watched in horror as his mighty warship began to break apart around him. As the bridge filled with smoke and sparks, he heard Sarah Chen's voice one last time over the communication system. "Tell the galaxy, we are coming for all of you." The flagship died in fire and vacuum. Half the crew was lost, including Admiral Zaios. The remaining ships limped away from Earth, carrying news of an impossible victory. A single human pilot in a makeshift ship had destroyed the most powerful vessel in the fleet. But that was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, more attacks came. Human ships appeared throughout the solar system, built in secret underground facilities. They were not sophisticated, but they were effective. More importantly, they were crewed by humans who no longer cared if they lived or died. Each attack came with a message, names of the dead, locations of destroyed cities, and always the same promise: "We are coming for all of you." The surviving alien commanders sent desperate reports back to the Galactic Council. The humans were not behaving like a defeated species. They were acting like creatures with nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. In hidden bunkers across Earth, human survivors worked day and night. They studied captured alien technology. They built new ships and weapons. They made lists of every alien species that had participated in the attack. They planned and prepared and remembered. The galaxy had wanted to teach humanity its place. Instead, humanity began to teach the galaxy about the most dangerous creature in the universe: a human with a grudge. The war had begun, but it would not be the war anyone expected. It would not be about territory or resources or political power. It would be about justice. Human style, complete, total, and absolutely unforgiving. The aliens had made their choice. Now they would live with the consequences. Or more accurately, they would die with them. 5 years had passed since the attack on Earth. The Galactic Council had declared the human problem solved. Official reports stated that the primitive species had been successfully brought under control. Most of the galaxy believed the humans were either dead or properly subdued. Commander Vextai of the Zeperian mining operation on Kepler for 42b was reading those same reports when the alarms began screaming. He looked up from his data pad to see his communications officer frantically working at her station. "Report," he commanded, his blue skin shifting to a worried purple color. "Sir, we have unknown ships approaching the mining facility. They appear to be using stolen Zeperian technology, but the design is unfamiliar." Vexi moved to the main view screen. 3 ships approached through the asteroid field that surrounded their mining operation. The vessels were sleek and dangerous looking, clearly built for war rather than mining or exploration. Identification signals? None, sir. They are not responding to our hails. The ships moved closer. Vextai could see they were smaller than his defensive platforms, but something about the way they moved made him nervous. They flew like predators stalking prey. Power up defensive systems. Send a message to the approaching vessels. Tell them they are entering restricted space and must identify themselves immediately. Before his communications officer could respond, all 3 human ships opened fire at once. Their weapons were not the crude energy blasters the reports had described. These were sophisticated beam weapons that cut through the mining station shields, like they were made of paper. The attack was precise and devastating. The humans targeted the station's weapon systems first, then its communication array, then its escape pods. Within minutes, the mining operation was defenseless and unable to call for help. Beekser watched in horror as boarding pods launched from the human ships. How is this possible? The report said they were primitive. One of his officers, a veteran of many campaigns, spoke grimly. "Sir, these ships, they are using our own technology against us, but it has been improved, modified. Those weapons are more powerful than standard Zeperian designs." The boarding pods attached to the station's hull with magnetic clamps. Cutting tools began burning through the metal walls. Vexi ordered his security forces to the breach points, but he knew it was hopeless. His mining operation was protected against pirates and raiders, not military assault. The humans cut through the hull in minutes. Security cameras showed them moving through the station corridors in coordinated teams.